right, welcome once again to the Polity, coming to you live from the Abuja studio of KAFTAN Television, and I hope you are having a beautiful day out there. I'm excited to be here. I do hope that everything's working beautifully around you, and just in case it's not, I promise you that as we go through this program together, you'll get enlivened, you'll get enlightened, and you'll get so much more that will turn things around for you. And before you know it, you'll be in a better state. You'll be in a state of upliftment. And so, my name is Dayo Omogun, and I welcome you to this show once again. And this afternoon, we will be talking about something that's trending as usual. And what is it? We will be talking about the news, the report that got into the news space, into the media space about a few days back, or maybe about a week now, coming from the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Committee, to the effect that there's a proposal to change the formula for sharing revenue across the tiers of government in Nigeria. And so that has generated a lot of buzz, a lot of interest from around across all the levels in our society, and of course that's understandably so. And so today we're taking a look at it and asking, is it really the formula that's the problem? Is it the formula? If you give 50% to the states, will it change what we currently experience? Will it give us better development? Is it a problem of the formula, or is it a problem of the fact that we manage resources very poorly? And added to that, of course, inside of that, you have the issue of corruption, the issue of large-scale stealing, of fraudulent practices, and all that and all that. I mean, if you put the formula on one side, so what it then means is that whatever formula you put in place, if the fraudulent stealing continues, if the corruption continues, if the dipping the hands into the till continues, what difference will it really make? And so this is the major crux of the matter that we intend to take a look at today. And so I'm being joined by Dr. Samson G. Simon. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the ARC company, Chief Economist, actually, and he will be taking on this matter. Welcome, Dr. Simon.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, viewers.
All right, welcome, and maybe a double welcome. We had something up. We tried to get this done some few weeks back, and at the last minute it didn't hold. So I'm excited, particularly that this time around it's seeing the light of day. So I say another big welcome, Dr. Simon. By the way, Dr. Simon in certain quarters is known as a rock star economist. Welcome, the rock star economist. Now, quickly, let's go to the matter at hand. Now, you have seen the news item that's making the rounds that the RMAFC, the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Committee, is set to change the formula of allocating resources between the federal government, the state, and the local councils, and some other bodies that share in the allocation. How do you read? Have you seen that?
Of course, I've seen it.
Okay, so, say? Go ahead.
I've seen the piece of news around that the government, particularly the commission responsible, like you rightly mentioned, the RMAFC, is working to review the revenue allocation formula, because this one is considered outmoded. It came out in 1992. There was some tweaking some few years ago, but there is a need for major changes to be made, particularly considering the fact that some items that were on the exclusive list and on the concurrent list. So some burdens might have been added to state governments, and there should be a commensurate increase in their revenue. And global best practice also demands that within the span of 5 years or so, there is a need for tweaking and tinkering with whatever formula so as to keep up with changes that might have occurred. Sadly, we have not done it in a long while, and this might be the right time to do it. If we couldn't do it at the time we were supposed to do it, the next best time is now. And I think it's a welcome development. But we should not be carried away by just how revenue should be shared. I think it should go beyond just how
All right, so
shared.
as far as you're concerned, it's a welcome development. All right. If you say it's a welcome development, will that mean that once it's rejigged now, it will be uhuru? It will mean that all our revenue or developmental challenges will become a thing of the past in a jiffy? Is that what it means? Is that what it signifies?
Far from it. It will not be uhuru, and it will not mean the end of all the problems that the different tiers of government are having. No matter how you tweak it, no matter how you rejig it, it's not going to be a silver bullet, but it will help in the sense that when this formula was crafted 33 years ago, the realities then are not the same as the realities now. So there's a need to keep changing. And if you look at like security, it used to be largely within the purview of the federal government. With the rise in insurgency, with terrorism, with jihadists all over Nigeria, particularly in the north, and with other problems, even the items like electricity generation and distribution, some of them were taken from the exclusive to the concurrent list, meaning more responsibilities to the state. There's a need for rejigging of this to reflect the responsibilities each tier of government is supposed to have, the burdens that they're supposed to carry. And, there's this belief that there's over-centralization of the entire formula. If you look at it, we're talking about more than half at 52.68% of that, of the entire revenue, of the FAC revenue going to the federal government. So that might not be the best since we are running a federal government. It seems it's more of the government at the center that actually carries almost everything, and it's not fair, it's not equitable. It doesn't make sense for it to continue like that.
All right, Doctor. Now, let's look at it this way. Without a revenue formula change, we do know that in the current dispensation, the states have begun to share a whole lot more than they ever did before now. And that's because of the removal of subsidy on fuel products and the savings made from there. This has been repeated over time, and this is probably knowledge to almost every Nigerian on the street, that the states are getting like several times more than what they used to get. And yet, I do not know whether that is translating to appropriate development, whether it's translating to better life for the man on the street. And so, if this is so, you say that the change in formula is a welcome development. If this is so, does that not present a problem? If, for example, let's put some figures there. If somebody was getting 5 billion naira per month and now suddenly begins to get about 35 billion in the same space, in the same environment, and yet there's been no change in formula, and we find out that a high percentage of what is getting is not translating to better life for the people. It's not translating to development. It's not translating to social amenities. It's not translating to education. It's not translating to anything much. So what benefits, what excitement does it hold that you're going to give such a person much more? Is it so that the person can have much more to fritter away? Because doesn't the Holy Book say that a man who is faithful in little then gets an opportunity to handle much more? Without holding brief for any tire of the government, I am saying that where we are, we've not managed our resources efficiently. Doc.
Well, I agree with you in the sense that nominally revenues have gone up in the past 2 years, particularly in the last 2 years, and that can largely be attributable to the subsidy removal, according to many sources. But some of us are a bit skeptical in the sense that nominal increase is not real increase. So if nominally you look at, if you adjust for inflation, you adjust for exchange rate, you might realize that it's not actually an increase. In real terms, it might not be an increase. What was the exchange rate 2 years ago? 460 official exchange rate. What's the exchange rate now is around hovering between 1.5 and 1.6. So if I was getting 10 billion 2 years ago and I'm getting 30 billion, in reality, I may not be getting more. Nominally, it seems that I'm getting more, but if you adjust it for exchange rate alone, I'm getting less. Then adjust it for inflation, you understand that I am probably getting less. And I'm not just talking about the states, even for the federal government. And that's why I know people who say, all right, the states are getting more, but they keep embarking on borrowing spree, right? But the same thing goes to the federal government. Are they not getting more? Is it not, are they not getting the increase in revenue due to subsidy removal as is being parroted? But the federal government also keeps borrowing. So this is a Nigerian problem. I don't think it's limited to the state government. Of course, I'm not defending any incompetence or lack of efficient use of resources, but we have to be very blunt. The truth is, we have to find more efficient ways of managing our resources. I think that will solve it. I understand the fact that even if we give the states 100%, that will not solve the problem. And if you give the local governments, I'm for local governments autonomy, full autonomy. It should not be whittled down through the back door as what some governors are doing. It should be full autonomy because if you look at the system that we operate at the moment, sadly, it has not given us the desired results. That's the reality because if this system was giving us the desired results, at least if we are not a big economy on a global level, we should be the best run or the most developed on the African continent. But we're neither of the two. That's to tell you clearly that the model we operate might not be the best, and there's a need for us to tweak. And just tweaking alone might not yield the results. There is a need for people to put in the effort and get things done. I know normally the focus is on the federal government this, federal government that. But the states too, the governors too, their feet need to be held to the fire. And for local governments, up to now, we don't have autonomy. So I don't think we can hold a local government chairman accountable the way we hold governors or the president, because we all know that we are not really there yet. We have a semblance of autonomy with elections and so on, but we know how elections are done. We know what is happening. So we should not, nobody that really knows that lives in Nigeria will pretend as if things have normalized about local government. So it's just there. But the truth is, everything largely boils down to the federal government and to the states. And the ultimate thing is to find, because pie is actually too small. If you look at our population, compared to our population, our revenue, our budget is terrible. It's one of the lowest in the world. Well, we have a lot to do. We need to enlarge the size of the pie. And enlarging the size of the pie is not only the responsibility of the president, it's the responsibility of virtually everybody, particularly those people in position of power, whether at the center or at the states or even the local government. If you make this pie bigger, and not to make it bigger so that you can divert it somewhere, but to be honest about how these resources are utilized for the benefit of the people. And one thing that I will give kudos to the president is he really wants to bring local government autonomy. I think it's a good thing. And a lot of people will not mind, people that are really passionate about serving, will not mind being local government chairman to fix the problems at the grassroots. And if we can fix local government, I think that will go a long way in helping governors and the president to get a lot of things done. But the way local government are, sadly, they're just a shadow of themselves. They're not really doing what is expected of them. And with that, you don't expect our best to want to work at the local government if the local government doesn't really stand a chance of getting anything done.
All right, thank you so very much, Doctor. Just like you have said, it's like the local government councils actually operate in the shadow of the states, and they're not getting the proper action they should be getting. And that's very unfortunate, in spite of the judgment that was gotten last year. Was it July 11th last year, when the Supreme Court gave full autonomy to the local government councils. And I think that that's a question of lack of will on the part of the federal government to enforce a judgment that has been clearly stated, clearly declared. It's funny, especially because the federal government was the one that took the matter to court, and having won, one would have expected that they will go the full hog and ensure that it is enforced. But here we are, the reality is different, and that's very sad. But we do hope, because you see, part of the message, part of the question, part of the issue is that even if you change the formula for the local government councils now to 20% or 30%, and reduce or also take the local governments to, the states to in the region of like maybe 45, 50, and federal government crashes down much, much lower than it currently gets. Is there a guarantee that the local government councils will enjoy their full authority? That's a serious issue. That's one there. The other one is, Doctor, at the time that we're talking about tweaking the formula, shouldn't we be talking about derivation? Shouldn't we be talking about, you get gold in Zamfara, whatever you make of it, give us a percentage of it, keep a certain percentage of it. You get crude oil in the South, in Rivers, in Bayelsa, in Ondo, in some of those places, Imo State, and so on. All right? So keep a percentage of it and send a small percentage to the center for everybody to share, rather than this forced, quote-unquote, forced allocation of resources across board without recourse to how it is generated. If we all, because that's one way, you will agree with me, that's one way by which we can energize productivity in the system, energize growth, because that will mean that the people in Enugu will take their coal business more seriously, the people of Jos will take their tin more seriously, or bauxite, wherever that is, and then in places like Edo, Northern Edo, and Kogi states, solid minerals there are plenty there. So if we have derivation as the principle, as the core principle of allocating resources, don't you think that that will make for better, more judicious use and more judicious allocation?
Well, I agree with you, but that's looking at one side of the argument. It's true that if we emphasize derivation, there'll be healthy competition. And instead of us to always be clamoring for more allocation to the states jostling to have more money allocated to them by claiming they have more population, they have land mass, they have this, they have that, all of them not really productive assets because there is nothing that is being gotten from there. I think it should be based on what you bring to the table. But the other side of that, by trying to encourage everybody to do more, to generate more, to make the most of whatever resources that might be found in its own jurisdiction, as a government, whether at the center or at the state or even at the local government, you are not only responsible for the productive members of your of whatever entity you're in charge of. You're responsible for everybody. Of course, that means you have to consider those that might not be as productive as the others or might not be as endowed as the others. Zamfara might have gold, right? That one is just, they're just fortunate to have gold. Niger Delta has crude oil. They're just fortunate to have crude oil. It's not because of the efforts of people in Niger Delta or in Zamfara that they have crude oil and gold respectively. So as a leader, you have to, if you're the president, while I think it's good to emphasize their vision, to make everybody to work hard, to make everybody to generate more, to make everybody to bring a lot more to the table because you can expect more because you're bringing more. I think that would drive competition and that would drive development and progress for all the entities, all the tiers of government and all the federating units, right? But I think if there are others that are laggard, you mentioned, if you talk about Lagos, Lagos is like a quarter of Nigeria's GDP, right? You expect it also in terms of revenue, particularly tax revenue. Lagos is doing exceptionally well and is representing its self well. But if you see everything, the tax revenue generated, because Lagos is a quarter of Nigeria's GDP, or it brings the larger chunk of revenue, right? Sometimes if you look at the form of revenue, what you get from Lagos might be more than what you get from all the other 35 states and the FCT put together. So will you say everything should go to Lagos? Feel while you're trying to encourage Lagos and trying to help others to be like Lagos too, because for the fact that Lagos is ahead now, that doesn't mean that it will be ahead forever. What stops FCT, for example, from doing better than Lagos? And what stops a state like Kano, even Benue with its agriculture, from doing better than Lagos? There's nothing. So there's a need to stimulate all these different states to actually do better instead of just being laid back and waiting for allocation from Abuja on a monthly basis. And at the end of the day, there is hardly anything to show for it. I think the entire structure is set up in a way that it is doomed. It is fated to fail, sadly, because if all we think about is I want to doctor the population of my area so they have more allocation, right, from the center at the expense of other people, I think sadly our country will continue to fail. But if we're serious, and I think the president might be doing something regarding that. Of course, some people don't like it because if you look at derivation, and like I said too, he has a responsibility to everybody, not only to productive members of society, but is the more we have coming to the table, the larger the pie, right, the better for everybody, even the people that might not have contributed as much, because it redounds to everybody's benefit. So I think we should pursue derivation, even if no matter whose ox is God. I think it should be a priority to make everybody to be productive, to make everybody to be determined to have something to bring to the table, and to even work hard to bring so much to the table so that you can also ask for so much in return. I think that's one way we can help our country to develop. Of course, some people, because at the moment it may not really, derivation may not really favor them, sadly including my home state, will be spot on to actually be serious to find ways to also compete with the powerhouses in Nigeria like Lagos or rivers or FCT. But the moment everybody is lulled to sleep, you lull everybody to sleep. We're just sowing the seed of the destruction of our country, at least if not destruction, at least the pace at which you grow will be terribly slow, and we'll be left behind by everybody.
All right, Doctor, fantastic. Let me just, I think it will be good to hear from you because in the course of your last intervention, your last analysis, you talked about, oh, maybe some places may not have as much to give as others and all that, because maybe some people just, it looks as if they just stumbled on gold deposits. Some just by stroke of fate just found crude oil under their soil and all that and all that. But I like you to also emphasize the point that every single state, and I want to believe that we're agreeable on this, that every single state of this country, every region has something, very profitable to offer. There's at least one product. I mean, we hear from history that in the 60s, the Malaysians came here to pick seeds of palm oil. And today, they now export to us while we import from them. The same seeds they took from us. Our land has not been stolen from us. Our population has grown. Energetic population has grown. Resources with which to do mechanized farming is available. So definitely is a gap of poor leadership and poor followership. So I think that it is not an issue of any state lacking what to live on. As it were, indeed, the 36 states of this federation have something they can conveniently live on. For example, talk about Bauchi State. You talk about the tourist site in that place. Think about it. They could put some resources and really make it something huge. Cross River State has tourist center and so on. And I'm not even talking about several other things that they can do. So I think it's important, Doctor, that it comes from you because you are in a place of authority. You are an economist and you know so much. And you are the one right here who is on the seat. I think it's important that you underline that.
I agree with you. And starting with that case of palm oil, I think it was recently I stumbled upon something that says that 1 barrel of palm oil now attracts more money than a barrel of crude oil. So it seems we picked the wrong oil. And I think it's also this fiscal federalism that has caused that, because for the fact that crude oil has become a better money generating asset for the country, that doesn't mean that you take other assets for granted, like agriculture. And agriculture is even a better asset because it's renewable, while crude oil is not. So we made a grievous error, particularly by switching to crude oil, because we thought it was an easier money to make. I think it was short-sighted of us, right? And I'm not really blaming